person who thinks it cannot be done should not interrupt the person who's currently doing it.
Yeah, and there's this other side, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Yeah.
What you mentioned there is also the superpower, right? It's being creative. And I mean, I always love to challenge the creatives out there to actually get into IT. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, you guys think outside the box, use code, use, programming as a tool, as a mechanism to create. People think you're doing the most. You're making money,
Bro.
And
then they DM you.
They DM you asking for jobs, asking for money. He's like, hey, dog, I'm on my last 100 as well.
And they won't believe you.
I don't believe you. Now, I'm sure you start going to the gym.
Bro, that post-heartbreak.
Consuming Red Bull content.
Red Pill, bro. I think one of the best things that can happen to a man is heartbreak. Welcome, Mvelo. Welcome to the Truth Talk.
Thank you for having me, Larreth.
Yeah, great for coming. Thank you for honoring the invitation.
Yeah, no, I feel very honored to be invited to your talk.
All right, cool. So first things first, are we competitors?
I wouldn't say so. I think we are collaborators. I think we definitely need to work towards it. I mean, we're in an ecosystem that has a shared vision, right? So we live in a country and continent where, youth unemployment is rampant. I think in South Africa alone, there's 4.9 million unemployed youth.
Yeah.
So that's something that needs to be solved. And the rest of the world is hungry for talent, right? So we are we're at the best position to create the largest pool of talent, not just in South Africa, the rest of the continent, that can be shipped out into the rest of the world.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So there's this guy that was once on this podcast, Chris, and he once said that Melsoft will be the next Andela. And I was like, oh, wow, thank you so much for that. Yeah. And then I realized the pie is big enough for everyone.
100%.
And B, as long as we all stay true to our values of we really want to solve unemployment, then if we work together as a team, which is why I love organizations like the Collective X, where they say all ecosystem players, let's come together and let's solve this issue.
Yeah, I was actually at I don't know, it was a launch event, but they had an event, I think it's probably 3 weeks back now.
Yep.
I mean, they had everyone there, They had Umuzi, they had We Think Code, you were there, we were there. Yeah. Literally everyone is there. And I think at the crux of it, it's about youth. It's about how do you upskill youth and actually get them into opportunities where they can learn and earn.
Yeah.
I think I really love that conversation that they had just on that day and what the Collective X actually stands for.
Yeah. Incredible. So tell us, for those of people that don't know, what is Zaio? And please just tell us a little bit more about it.
So Zaio, I think let's start with the name. So Zaio, I mean, people ask us, where does that name come from? It looks interesting. I mean, people just don't want to say it looks weird, but it actually comes from the Nguni word Zaio, which means the future or what's coming. Okay. So we obviously just changed the Y in the word into an I for aesthetics. Mm-hmm. And I mean, really what we stand for is, we want to cultivate leaders, right? We want to cultivate leaders that will drive the future of African as well as global innovation. So we believe that if we are creating or helping to create the largest pool of competent digital skills or digitally talented digitally skilled talent, we would have played a very vital role in even just shifting the narrative of what Africa is seen or how Africa is seen in the world. I feel like we could be really competitive as a continent. I mean, we're going to have the youngest population by 2030 and the youngest working population by 2050. So it's really something we need to lean on as a continent. And, if you can play a part in getting us to that, for me, I feel really fulfilled in doing that. I mean, I think even just closer to home, it's like, I have brothers and, you know, cousins and extended family. You know, I was actually at home last week where, you know, they're unemployed, they're sitting at home.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not even a far-fetched idea. It's just like it's literally right here. And if, you know, we could create and scale whatever we're doing big enough, they could also just take advantage of that. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally relate on a lot of things that you've just said, because when we started Melsoft Academy, we were like, okay, we're here in this tech industry. We are building these websites for corporates and clients and all these things. But you get a message from a guy that you went to school with saying,
100%.
I'm sitting at home, I'm not doing anything. What can I do with you?
Yeah.
And then you see that it's not just us, it's practically almost everyone. I mean, okay, not everyone, but if 60% of the South African youths are unemployed, that's a huge problem. So kudos to you for actually taking action to solve that.
And same to you, man. I mean, we're in a very similar space, right? I mean, I think maybe our deliveries are just a bit different, but you know, the outcome and the goal is very much intertwined.
Yeah. So you guys started it at university in college. Could you please just walk us through how it was being a college student and then saying, nah, I'm going to jump into entrepreneurship head first?
Yeah. So I think going into university, I think there was always that thing for me already. And I mean, this was way before Zaio and everything. I think a lot of us had drank the Kool-Aid, you know, of Silicon Valley, you know, startups, building unicorns and the rest of that, you know, Mark Zuckerberg and, you know, Brian Chesky and co. You know, and, you know, I'd say I was a student of A, their literature, but B, you know, just how they moved as well. So there was always that. And I think varsity was the perfect launch pad to do that. I mean, from a responsibilities perspective, you know, you really just need to take care of, you know, your studies. You know, you need to pass.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time, you know, somebody else was funding your lifestyle. It's not the same now where, you know, you're in the real world and you have to pay rent, you have to pay, you know, for your mode of transport, you have to pay for food. You know, it was obviously a lot different then. So it was the perfect time to actually start a business, we felt. And in doing that, I mean, we tried a couple of things with some friends, and then, you know, Zaio came along. And even when we started, it was literally a conversation like this. It was between me and a mate of mine. You were sitting at the cafeteria, and he was like, you know, I've applied at all these, you know, big corporates. I mean, I'm not going to name them now, but, and you couldn't get in. They kept asking him one question. You know, you have great marks, you Dean's List, you Golden Key even, but what have you actually built outside of, you know, your coursework? And he couldn't answer that. So we first sought to solve that. So what we were doing is we were connecting, you know, people that were studying towards a technical degree with startups that needed tech to be built. And then we realized that there's a mismatch between, you know, what was required from a school perspective. And I think you've definitely come across that, and, you know, the talent that comes out of university. I mean, over time, we realized, okay, we can actually expand this beyond just these individuals. I think really when the penny dropped for us was, you know, there was a security guard that came onto our platform. It was free at the time, learned to code. And in a couple of months, we actually placed him on a project. You know, and he started earning and stuff like that. That's when you really saw, no, this thing actually has a lot of impact. It's actually scaled the training components as opposed to, you know, building software for startups.
Wow. Okay. And I'm sure you're starting this business in university. You faced a lot of challenges, for sure. What would you say some of the biggest challenges you faced were starting up, and how did you overcome them?
I mean, yeah, like you'd obviously miss lectures. That's the first thing, right? I actually repeated quite a few courses. I extended.
No ways.
I'm telling you now.
CEO of the school.
Yeah, I mean, it was, you know, we were chasing this dream, right? Yeah, so actually my degree got extended, I think, by like a semester as a result. So I actually finished during COVID. Okay. So, I mean, that's the first thing. But I think internally now it's, you know, we had to navigate people transitioning from university into the real world. Some people had other responsibilities at home. You know, the makeup of the team is not the same as, you know, how it was when we started. People had to go get jobs so they can earn a certain amount where, we weren't really earning the first year out of, university and going full time into the business. So there were founder disputes and all of that as well. Some people wanted to obviously stay on, but they couldn't, right? Because they had other responsibilities. Cash flow is obviously a really big one. So now you have to, there were times where we weren't even paying ourselves. So, I moved back home for a while. I actually moved back home probably 2 or 3 times during the process. But, the vision obviously what kept us going. And then just also not knowing what to do. I think that's something that's not really spoken about. As a first time founder, someone that's not from a entrepreneurial family, there's also that. So we made a lot of mistakes. We obviously overcame them. I mean, we still make some mistakes, but I mean, we try our best.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I can relate to a lot of things. A lot of people think that entrepreneurship is this get rich quick thing where, they see Jeff Bezos, they see, Elon Musk and all these amazing guys, and they're like, if I want to make money, let me be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Not knowing that it's not that easy.
It really isn't, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of people also like, let me be my own boss, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, your clients end up becoming your boss very quickly. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you've got a few co-founders. I've actually met one of your co-founders, Tando.
Yeah.
I had a chat with him at some point. I was like, wow, what an amazing guy, fascinating guy.
Yeah.
In terms of working with co-founders, what was that dynamic like? Did you think that it was beneficial? Would you start it over again on your own, or how was that?
Look, I mean, I wouldn't start it again on my own. I think just to answer that, I think some of the things that we've gone through, it's really been nice to have someone to lean on, someone to sense check your decision making as well. I think especially as a leader of the team, it's you want to have people around you, especially when tough decisions need to be made. For example, I mean, when you hire and fire people, the first experience of doing it, like, dude, I felt like crap. The first time we
never gets easy, does it?
It doesn't get easy, but having a co-founder to then turn to and be like, hey, man, this is how I feel. After doing this, like, you really can't trade that for much. I think walking the journey alone, it can get lonely. I think I mean you've obviously doing this all
with him.
with your brother. Yeah.
The best co-founder you could ever have.
The mysterious voice. It's someone to lean on, and I think blood at the end of the day is even tighter, right? So I mean, kudos to you guys for obviously pushing and building what you've built.
I actually have a mixed experience with co-founders. Like I've had some guys that I started with that fell off after maybe 2-3 years of the relationship, because I've seen this thing where a lot of people are very happy at the beginning. Everyone is excited. We're like, woohoo, we're gonna change the world. And then the problems come, like the cash flow issue, 100%. Right? Or maybe we hire someone and now we are debating whether to keep someone in these things. I found that, I think personally, if I didn't have my brother as a co-founder, I would have folded a long time ago. Because this journey on your own, I wouldn't do it again.
I mean, you guys know each other like, intimately, right? You guys have known each other like since birth, right? So like really, I commend how you guys, I wish I was doing this with my brother, right?
Do you have brothers?
I have one brother. I actually have a brother and 2 sisters. They're all older than me. I'm actually very close with my brother, so I see him all the time. I actually saw him yesterday.
Oh, okay.
If I was around tomorrow, I'd probably be seeing him this weekend as well. But
okay, cool. So let's move into what Zaio actually does. So you mentioned that you guys are into training and you place people, you help people get jobs after you've trained them. How do coding boot camps like Zaio, and Microsoft Academy and all the other guys that you have, how do they shape the education industry?
I mean, we touched on it earlier. It's a very practical approach.
Okay.
So in higher education institutions, a lot of the courses are very theoretical.
Yeah.
So what we do, it's short courses, right? But heavily focused on getting somebody industry ready. So a lot of that may be missed, especially at a university degree level.
Yeah.
Your TVETs and your Technicons do to some degree get it right, where they bring in a lot of practical experience. But I think with these boot camps like Microsoft and Zaio, that's the focus, right? They will obviously do theory because we have to teach someone who doesn't have any experience, but getting them into projects that are industry relevant, where they can actually picture what I'm going to be doing in the real world. I think that's really something unique with programs such as the ones you run and the ones we run.
Yeah, completely agree. I think if we swapped seats, the conversation would probably go the exact same way.
Literally.
Yeah, because we've seen there are people that would finish a university degree, but they don't know how to code. They don't know how to build an actual working app.
Yeah.
And then they struggle to land the job. But then when they do come for these boot camps, they kill it. They absolutely crush it. And 4 months in, 6 months in, they get their first job.
Exactly. It's the sprints, man. It's like you coding.
Yeah.
You get stuck in really quickly. So I mean, I think that's what I love about it. It's like you're genuinely getting stuck in and doing the work.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I'm sure you've been around a lot of students. How many students do you guys have so far in total since you started?
How many we've trained?
Yeah.
Earlier this year, if not late last year, we crossed 1,000 in total. So I mean, we have programs both, B2C facing, and then we have quite a few that come in from a B2B side.
Okay.
So I mean, we on the B2B side, we train like 100 at the same time. So that's why we can cross over those numbers. I think what's been very new for us is the boot camp approach, right?
Okay.
So we actually didn't have that until quite recently. So what we do now is we run a boot camp every 2 months. We try to limit the number of seats so to about 30. I think so. This year we've had about 3 courses, about 90 people this year alone. Yeah.
Okay. And out of your experience dealing with students, what are some of the most let me rephrase that. Out of your experience dealing with students, what are some of the characteristics that the best students that end up making it have? If someone was to ask you, what makes a great software developer student, what would you say?
Like it's sticking it through. I mean, when you're faced with a bug, man. A lot of people just like, stuff this thing, I'm done, right?
Yeah.
But I think those ones that are resilient and disciplined enough to, maybe they don't understand fully what's going on, but to seek advice from other people and then implement it in whatever they're doing, those are the best. I think even in the working world, people that we've hired, those are the best developers where, you're not expected to know everything, right?
Yeah.
But if you're able to, be disciplined in your approach and then also seek advice, honestly, I think that makes the best kind of developer, at least for us. And what would you say?
Yeah, somewhat similar. In fact, exactly similar. Grit and resilience. Because we've seen this wave that happens. So our bootcamp is you start with HTML, CSS, right?
Yeah.
And they're happy, they're having a good time, they're designing things, they're showing their parents and stuff. Then it's time to build logic. Let's do JavaScript, right?
Yeah.
And then you start seeing some cracks. Then that's when you start seeing students say, I don't know if this is for me, or I think maybe this career path, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
Then the motivation now comes into play to say, you started this thing. No one said it's going to be easy, but if you just keep at it, keep pushing, keep going, you're going to make it. And even for myself, when I was a developer, I'm not the most technical guy. I'm more of a creative person, but give me a problem. If I have to go 24 hours, 48 hours with the same problem, we'll get it done.
Yeah, 100%. You stick it through. And I think what you mentioned there is also the superpower, right? It's being creative. And I mean, I always love to challenge the creatives out there to actually get into IT. It's like, you guys think outside the box. use code, use programming as a tool, as a mechanism to create, right? To bring out solutions that the world will benefit and consume. But from your lens, right?
Yeah. Okay. Ghost voice, anything from your side?
No, not yet.
Okay. Cool. I actually had something here. So when you're hiring, let's say you're hiring for any talent, what do you look for in a person before you give them a job outside of grit and resilience?
Yeah, I mean, I think also let's remove like competence, right?
Yeah.
I think that's always, everyone's gonna always look for that. But I think if there's a fit, within the team, a lot of people say it's a culture fit,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
right? There needs to be that. There needs to be a certain level of wanting to learn and grow.
Yeah.
We definitely look for that. So you don't want somebody coming in where they're just gonna stick to whatever they're doing or whatever their JD says, right, or their job description. You want somebody that wants to grapple with what's happening with the rest of the business, so that they themselves can grow into other areas and interests. And they need to be genuinely interested in what we're doing. I think that's a very big one. Like, if you can see if someone's like, this is a job.
Yep, you can.
It comes across very quickly. And,
Yep.
what are some of the things that you look for?
Yeah, same thing. We had this person, I'm not going to name their name.
Yeah.
So she was a killer salesperson, right? So if we want numbers, she would give us numbers.
Yeah.
But her presence in the office would cause a lot of disruption for the others. It would cause a lot of fights and things like that. Then we had to make probably the toughest decision we had to make in the business, to say, okay, we have to let you go, because in as much as you're a top performing salesperson, just your presence inside the team is causing all the other departments to suffer.
I'm sure that wasn't an easy decision as well.
It was not. He fired her.
It wasn't. It's a very hard one.
You're lucky people don't see you, but they can hear you.
Yeah, but overall, great girl. I think if she went to another company, that fits that sort of culture, she would be promoted and Yeah. All right. So, as someone who's around a lot of young people, I'm sure you know that right now there's a very big supply of juniors, right? Someone is taking a Udemy course or a Coursera course, and then they start applying for jobs, right? What can someone who has no computer science degree, but they have the Zaio bootcamp, what can they do to stand out in the job search to make them employable?
I mean, at the end of the day, your portfolio is going to speak, right? So, I mean, if you have projects in your GitHub repository, if you have, I've seen quite a few people actually create websites as well, where they can share quite easily with anyone. Then people can view their projects. That's because at the end of the day, people want to know: can you actually build? Can you actually program? Can you code? And if you can put that in front of them, 100%. I mean, there's obviously other accreditations and frameworks that are out there, and I'd always encourage anyone to continuously learn. Right. Interesting enough, I actually had a conversation yesterday around this specific topic. At a not just at a junior level, but at an intermediate level as well. First of all, putting people in levels as well is,
we have to do it, I guess.
Yeah, we kind of have to, but I mean, it's blurry, right? We were talking about what are the other accreditations? Is it Microsoft? Is it is it Azure? Is it power platforms? Is it what are all these other things that are in demand currently? I mean, I think maybe also do your homework to figure out what are companies actually looking for. Sometimes that information doesn't come easily, right? But speak to someone that's in the kind of work that you want to do. What are the skill sets that the rest of your company is looking for? I mean, we even have things where are not super technical now that are in high demand, like Salesforce. Right. So look out for trends, look out for the skills, supplement, and continuously learn.
Yep. And in addition to that, I think also having a very strong presence on social media,
Yeah.
especially LinkedIn, of course, because that's like the job search engine of the world now.
Yeah, yeah.
That really, really, really helps. And TikTok.
Yeah.
People, do you
Tell
think
everyone about your TikTok
Bro.
journey.
people think TikTok is for joking around
Yeah.
and making dances? TikTok is for making money. If you're not making money on TikTok, I mean,
Yeah.
I've seen you guys promote a lot of influencers and things like that.
Yeah.
You are using TikTok for the right thing. If you're not making money on TikTok right now, what the heck are you doing?
You're
You have a large
watching other
audience.
people make money.
Oh yeah. So thank you. You can watch us. It's fine. But do use TikTok. I always push my students as hard as I can. But then I guess it comes with a lot of fear of rejection.
Yeah.
Because for you to hit that post button, you are kind of saying, "Hello world, this is me. If you don't like me, it's fine. I'm willing to take that."
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't have that mental to embrace the rejection, because sometimes your video will tank, no one will watch it, or you'll even get people saying, Larreth, stop lying and things like that.
Yeah. I actually want to touch on that. The whole fear of rejection. So I mean, obviously with content creation, it's it's right there in your face.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't start businesses or pursue their ideas because of that as well.
True.
Right. For you, like, how did you have to get over that firstly? And if you did, what did you do?
Fear of rejection.
Yeah.
Whew. So for me, I think the key was when I started my first business, I had a very big heartbreak. So I had already been rejected, like rejected,
Yeah.
So I didn't care what anyone else would say. I would put out things.
Yeah, heartbreak in the romantic sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I didn't really care. So I just thought, what's the worst that could happen? I've got a point to prove. You left me? Okay, fine. We'll see who's laughing now.
I'm sure you start going to the gym,
Bro, that post heartbreak.
consuming Red Bull content.
Red Pill, bro. I think one of the best things that can happen to a man
Yeah.
is heartbreak.
100%.
Yeah.
Like there's a superpower, like 100%.
Yeah. So I didn't really care about rejection, but obviously it's never easy to put yourself out there to start a business, especially at a very young age with no funding and those things. You're like, I'm just gonna start, and then I remember this very first big rejection in my career. So I used to do Canva CVs for people, and I'll charge 50 Rand, right? So in Zim, where I come from, I was doing very well. Then I came to South Africa, and I thought I can just do the same thing. I can just do Canva CVs.
Yeah.
And I remember doing a CV for one of the directors of a very big construction company, and her response was this long, saying, "This is absolutely terrible. Can't believe I paid you money for this. I myself could have done this in Canva. There is no value that you're adding." Because I thought this stuff that I'm doing in Zoom is gonna fly here.
Yeah.
It did not fly.
Yeah.
And that was the time when I realized, okay, rejection is good, but you need to use it to improve and to get better.
Yeah.
And ever since that day, I've never designed a CV for anyone.
Did you stop that
Like,
day?
I'm not doing this anymore. It was like, yeah.
I mean, but you moved on to the next business. You didn't completely stop your journey at the end of the day. So yeah, kudos to you.
Yeah. So yeah, what are some of the big challenges that you've faced, personal challenges in growing your business and in your life?
Yeah, man. I mean, relationships is definitely top of that list, right? It's quite tricky.
Yeah.
I think when I was studying, I think I just parked that that part of my life, because you're moving between lectures, you're moving to between meetings and your business, you're trying to do strategy late at night, with your friends. You don't really, I mean, you can have a relationship, but you're not really gonna invest yourself into it, right? So I mean, a couple of times my partners during that time would say that, like, dude, you're here but you're not here, right? And you can only really hear that so many times, and then you just stop forcing it. I think definitely relationships And I mean, even now, right? It's, you know, my partner and I, like, we have to be very, we have to communicate
Yeah.
around these things, you know, so she can understand, you know, what I'm going through, what she's going through, and, you know, we have to come and meet in the middle with all of that. I think socially as well, there was a really big challenge around that, like
With friends and stuff.
Yeah, your friends are just like, hey, dude, you've disappeared.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and I mean, the friends that are really tight and really close and that really do understand will stick around.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them will definitely fall off.
Yeah.
And then there's this one where, you know, people think you're doing the most. You're making money,
Bro.
you know?
And then they DM you.
Like, they DM you asking for jobs, you know, asking for money. He's like, hey, dog, I'm on my last 100 as well.
And they won't believe you.
So there's that as well. So.
Yeah, nah, I totally feel you, man. Because even with friends, especially, yo, dude, I've lost majority. I think the friends that I still have, I think I've got like 5.
Yeah.
Or even lower, a handful, because they all just fell off. And also, for me, it was like, okay, in university, I'm out here, I'm partying, I'm having a good time. Yo, let's chill. But then when I started my business, time just flies by.
Yeah.
You don't have time. So I want to ask you something with regards to that. Are you married yet, firstly?
Oh, no, not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
Have you been facing, my actual question is, as a
You're
black young
engaged,
man?
right?
Yeah.
Shout out to
Thanks,
you,
shout
man.
out to you. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So I'm engaged, but I've been facing this pressure.
Yeah.
I want to ask from your side.
Yeah.
Do you face pressure from your family at home to settle down?
It's like, I told you, like, I was at home last week, and it's like, you were there, bro. Like, my parents sat me down, and they were like, hey, my guy, you know, you've been seeing this person for some time now. You know, and my dad has made her dad as well. So it's like,
okay.
it's
What's the
basically
holdup?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So now it's a thing of, what is the holdup? You know, what's your story? What are you delaying? I mean, it's a couple of things, right? It's finances, which is obviously a big one, but also at the same time is, you know, we're growing as people, right? So you obviously want to explore that person a lot more as well, and find out, okay, cool, are you making, you know, the best decision for the both of you? So I don't know if you're religious or anything like that, but my pastor has a, what does he call it? Like a premarital counseling stuff.
Okay.
What he calls it specifically, but you guys just sit there and you talk about it. It's like, you know, you unpack everything. You know, it is like a therapy session. But like, you know, your pastor's driving it and leading it, and you know, those are the things as well that we still actually need to go through. And you know, as much as we trying to figure that out ourselves, but it would be nice to also have even a third party to look at this thing and be like, hey, man, you know,
are you really ready?
Exactly. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, what, you know, in all of this, how did you manage to be like, hey?
So, there was a year, 2019, when for me I didn't have I didn't go on a date because that was the heartbreak time, and I was just trying to push. And I remember this one time, my dad sat me down and I was like, I'm worried about you. I was like, why? What do you mean? Then he was like, you're always working. Then I was like, I thought that's a good thing. I thought you'd be happy. I'm always working and I'm always studying. Then he was like, no. You know, as a young man, you need to go out there. You need to start dating and what. Then I was like, oh, okay, fine. I'll think about it, right? Then I got saved. That was the thing. I got saved. I met Jesus Christ again, and I started getting to know him, and I was like, wow, what a man. I fell in love, right? Then I promise you, the first girl that I actually dated after I got saved is Superior.
Oh, wow.
And now we're engaged to be married. So I'm so grateful that I have a partner that understands, because Sipio was with me from day one when I was naming the company. I was like, these are the 3 names that we have. What do you think? So she's really been there. She's been so supportive. She understands when it's end of a quarter, I've got targets, I'm in big trouble. I might not call you, I might not text you.
Yeah.
Completely understands, just keeps motivating me, encouraging me. I think I have the best partner I could have possibly asked for, but that came from God.
That's beautiful.
Then how did that go actually? In naming the company, and what are the other names?
Oh yeah, no,
They
the
made
other
short
names.
list.
No, the other names I have forgotten about them, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Flow State Academy.
Slow State Academy. Nah, I forgot about that.
He remembers.
Hey, who invited this guy? How about you leave? Yeah, so it's actually funny because the MEL is our family name.
Okay.
So our mother's name is Memory, and I'm Larreth, and he's Loris. So we always used to call ourselves Melloris. Yeah. So one of the names actually was Melloris Software Solutions, but then we thought it's a bit too long, so let's just call it Melsoft. And it stuck until today. Yeah.
It's all in the family here. Yep.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. All right, cool. So let's go back to Zaio a little bit and the tech space. So I'm sure there are a lot of students that come to you that don't necessarily want jobs.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe they want to be freelance or they want to build their own startups.
Yeah.
Do you guys do anything to support them?
Yeah. So I mean, at some point in our learning journey, I actually encourage people to to even sign up on things like Fiverr and Upwork.
Yeah.
To take on gig work or to explore gig work as a career.
Okay.
Because not everyone, as you say, is going to want to, work for a bank. Everyone's going to go want to work for a consulting company or even work for a dev house. Some people want the flexibility, especially now since COVID. People just want to work from home, just do their thing. They have like multiple clients that they work for. So we definitely encourage people to do that. We even have some people that come to study to use the skills in their own businesses. I think those people are the most interesting, for me personally, because, you're taking the time to obviously learn, but your end goal is, to improve or better your business in whatever way, especially from a technical standpoint, and to understand and speak to your developers. I think that takes a lot from a founder, especially a non-technical founder. So, yeah.
Interesting.
And you guys, like, what's the mix of, and even just, do you guys get graduates? Do you get people that come from university? Do you get people that come from other boot camps and then come to you?
Yeah. Actually, we do. We do get a lot of people that the majority would be people that are coming from other boot camps.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
I
interesting.
don't know if I'm allowed to mention.
Would rather not.
It's not.
So people come from other boot camps and then they're like, I did this ABCD, but I didn't get to where I want to get to. And then for us, the thing is, we're just training you to get a job, right? So people really love that part of it. Then we also get people that don't go to university, that are just coming in. Then we get the college graduates as well. But the majority of our students, they just want jobs. They just want job security. And we once hosted this webinar this other time. So Loris obviously is based in America, right? So we brought in an American guy, come in and say, this is how you build a startup in America.
Okay.
The sign up for that webinar was extremely disappointing.
Yeah.
I thought everyone would want to start a company.
Yeah.
But then when we did a similar webinar of how to get a job in America.
I'm sure people are just
Exactly.
attacked. Yeah.
So I don't know. Do you think the people are not educated enough about entrepreneurship, or is it a fear, or?
Yeah, I mean it's high risk, I think it has been glamorized in the past, but I don't think it's as sexy as it used to be.
Yeah.
And it isn't as well, to be fair.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people would rather have, a job as a base. And then, once they've, grown in their careers, then they take a step back and then start exploring. I mean, it's always good to start a business when you're not hungry, right? So, so I mean, I get it. I really do get it.
Yeah. And I think also, especially amongst us Africans, a lot of people are really, really struggling out there.
Yeah.
So they would think, okay, entrepreneurship means I need to build something, then I need to try and sell it and hopefully make some money. But a job means every single month I'm making 10, 15, 20,000.
Without a doubt, obviously until you lose your job or whatever, but yeah.
Oh yeah, let's not talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So for Zaio, what's the vision for the future? What do you guys 5-10 years from now? What do you guys want to be?
I mean, geographically, we don't want to be just in South Africa. I think that's the big thing. We have actually started looking at other territories. We did a pilot. Was it last year, or the year before, in Kenya? We had a very small group of students. They responded well to our content. It's just that the partner that we were using to deliver that, I don't know if they're still around. We obviously want to. Everyone looks at Nigeria, right?
Yeah.
It's like, but it's contested. It's hotly contested, and sometimes you need to question yourself: can you actually charge in some of those markets? So you have things like, Moringa schools, and other boot camps that that work in those territories where they're completely free for the end user at least. So, or the beneficiary rather. Can you then move into that and start charging? Do we charge what we charge here?
Yeah.
In South Africa, that's also another question. But yeah, I mean, that's the big goal. We obviously want to grow the team. Right now, I think when we started, we were like, we want to build a unicorn. You want to do this and do that.
Yeah.
I think as we've matured as founders, we've realized that might not be, how to get that is not what we're pursuing now. There's this thing of multiple rounds of funding, and I know you're probably not a fan of funding at all, but there's other ways to create value and to add value to your business, and sometimes it just takes a bit longer. So that's what we're now looking at. We don't mind being on this journey, a few more years than we had initially anticipated. So we want to build a robust business, a profitable business.
Yeah.
One that us and our employees can actually benefit from, and then obviously the people that we service in the market.
Yeah. Okay, let's chat a little bit about fundraising, because you did mention something interesting.
Yeah.
I was at this event, one of these meetups, and I met this angel investor.
Yeah.
And we were just speaking, and he said, "Oh, what do you guys do?" Then I explained what we do, and then I was like, "Oh, I know your space. I really know your space." And I was like, "Oh, really?" Then he said, "I'm an investor." And I'm like, "Oh, really? Who did you invest in?" And he said, "Zaio."
Oh,
then I asked
I think I know who.
Yeah. Then I asked him, "So what is it about Zaio that made you invest?" And then he was like, "Mvelo."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Wow, okay." So he's clearly just backing the founder.
Yeah.
And that's what we have learned, that it's all about the founder.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So question to you, in terms of fundraising, when your business was still bootstrapped and after you got funding, what fundamentally changed?
Wow. So I mean, when that specific angel check came in, not a lot changed. We obviously had more resources to start experimenting, and you move fast when you have cash in the bank.
Yeah.
So I think our most recent fundraise, which was almost like a bridging round, right? Again, cash in the bank, we started moving fast. I mean, you've seen Zaio everywhere now.
Yeah. Always seeing you on media, news stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, we're making noise, so it allows us to do things like that. But I think what people need to be aware of is, as you're giving parts of your business away, it's no longer yours as the founding team, right? Or no longer just yours. You now have other decision makers that are at the table, so you need to pass things through them. sometimes, the autonomy, it's nice as a founder. You can just be like, hey, you wake up tomorrow, you make a decision.
Yeah.
But like when you have investors, you can't just do that. You have to, set up a meeting, you have to propose, everyone has to vote. So you do sometimes end up moving a bit slower than initially before the fundraising.
Okay, yeah, interesting. We've got mixed feelings about fundraising, because at the moment we're not really sure if we just want to keep it small and profitable, or are we going to make that decision to say, okay, Loris, we now need to blow this thing up, and obviously to do that you need that outside capital. So
yeah, I mean, think about it critically, guys. I mean, we can always have a conversation off air as well around these things. But think about it critically, and see what you guys want to build. I mean, you ask me what we want to build in the next 5 to 10 years. What are you guys trying to build?
what are we trying to build for Ghost Voice?
The Harvard of coding boot camps.
There you go, the Harvard of coding boot camps. Yeah, that's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to spread it across the entire continent.
Yeah.
But there are challenges, like you've mentioned. There will be language barriers if you're trying to go to West Africa.
Yeah.
There will be payment gateways. I mean, payment problems if you want to go to the other countries.
Yeah.
You've got countries like Zimbabwe where they only pay in cash, like physical, actual cash.
Yeah.
So Africa represents a very big challenge because it's 54 different countries with different regulations and different
languages,
mindsets.
different cultures, different. Yeah.
It's not easy. That's why I think guys like Paystack, I respect those guys. I wonder how they've managed to really do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it boils down to the founders and how those guys have actually just built their business. It is something that's quite commendable.
Yeah. So you did mention something that you probably see Zaio everywhere now.
Yeah.
And we spoke about how you guys have sponsored a lot of news. I don't know if that's okay to say.
Yeah.
But we do see you everywhere. That is true. And there are trolls on the internet. I'm sure you've seen them.
Yeah.
Where you create a video, you get it out there, and then you get these negative comments about, oh, boot camps are scams. Oh, you really can't do this in 6 months. What is your response to people like that think boot camps are scams and you really cannot become a developer in 6 months?
I mean, the data's there, right? The case studies are there. There's people who've got jobs. So I think that really speaks for itself. I don't like to dwell on, that negative part of it. Yeah. Those that want to learn will come, right? And then those that want to discourage others, they'll probably discourage 1 or 2 people. But once they see that, this guy actually changed his life doing this thing, some of those people will be converted. So I really don't want to dwell too much on.
Yeah, true. There's always that saying that the person who thinks it cannot be done should not interrupt the person who's currently doing it.
Yeah, and there's this other say, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Yeah. Yeah. What a G. You're like an actual G. Yeah. Interesting. Maybe our brains are wired the same because we're trying to solve the same problem all the time. Cool. So as we're about to round off, I just want to ask, so you guys are into software development right now. What are other industries in the tech space that you potentially see blowing up in the near future?
Placements. The conversation now is talent. I mean, we're training, we're upskilling. That's the first layer of what needs to be done. And I'm not saying as Zaio, as Melsoft, as the next bootcamp, we're gonna create all the talent, but we need more players in the space to create, again, the largest pool of competent developer talent on the continent, so that talent can be used and employed by people across the world. That's the conversation now. It's all about talent.
Yeah. And industries that you think are going to blow up? I know AI is hot right now.
Yeah. I mean, AI data will always be a big one. And then the more data we put into the world, the more. Cyber is also a really big one. I mean, I think yes, cyber, a lot of noise has been made around it, but it's still flying under the radar for some strange reason. I think a lot more people need to get involved in cyber. Like everything, is corruptible.
Yeah.
Like literally, like I'm just looking at this entire room. Like if it's connected to the internet in any shape or form, somebody can, manipulate in one way or another. So we need people to protect us,
Yeah.
So cyber is definitely one thing that I would always punt. And then I mean, of course, AI, as you say. Yeah.
Interesting. What an amazing chat. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Was that,
I
is
really
that it?
enjoyed that. We ran out of time a little
Yeah.
bit. But before we go, we've got 2 questions for you.
Yeah.
So we do this thing as part of the Truth Talk where the previous guest gets to ask the next guest a question.
Sure.
And question to you from Matthew Marston of Startup Club is, what does success look like at the end of the day for you?
I mean, for me, it's about family, man. If my family is living good, if I've created a world where we've lowered things like unemployment, crime goes down, societal degradation, whatever you call it, has gone down. It all boils back to then my family, and my family gets to reap the benefits of that. So, if I could wake up and not worry about, my future spouse, or my future wife, future children, can just walk out and they live in a safe environment, a good environment, an environment that actually works, I think I would have done a good job.
Yeah. Well said. And then do you have a question? Okay, what is your question for the next guest? What
The
would you
next
like
guest,
Yeah.
I like this actually. Would your 18-year-old version of yourself be proud of where you are today? Yeah.
Interesting. I'm sure they'll enjoy answering that.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much. So before we conclude, we've got you a little bit of something.
Oh, I love
So
it.
I mean, I think like I've been saying throughout the chat, a lot of the problems that you're going through, I can totally feel you. I totally relate. And I think you've done an incredible job leading Zaio, because it's not easy. You're dealing with students, you're dealing with co-founders, you're dealing with investors.
Yeah.
The pressure can get a lot. And I think you're an incredible leader. I think you've done so well at a very young age. And Africa is safe. I hope to have 10,000 more versions of Mvelo coming out of Africa.
Yeah.
So as you lead, please just read this book from Joko, one of my favorite guys, the US Navy SEAL, on leadership.
Thank you. I knew I was getting a book, would have come sooner. I love it. Thank you so much, man.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, guys, for watching and for listening. And always remember, the truth will set you free. Cheers.
And cut.